Five numbers, not a lot's changed. Managing 54.5, I think last year we might have been right at 54 million tons or so. The big thing to notice is on the pie chart, that's our generated or our collected side. The big numbers there, construction, demolition, debris, we're managing quite a bit of that, managing a lot of yard waste, we're managing a lot of food waste, so organics and C&D, that's the big drivers in the state. Then you look at the table side, what are we recycling? What are our high percentages there? Of course, construction, demolition debris, we're a state that does a lot of recycling, construction, demolition debris. We do a lot of development, but we are doing a pretty good job of taking that material and recycling it. Look at yard waste. Yard waste increased quite a bit this year. So we're doing a lot of yard waste or yard mulching. Fantastic to see that increasing. But as we talked about earlier in the last session, food waste. Food waste is stagnant. We're at 4%. Again, there is definitely room to grow there. And the other concerning part of this for me is that the 75% goal is a weight-based goal. So we're doing great with our heavy materials, our metals, we're doing great with construction, demolition debris, but let's take a look at the aluminum numbers. Aluminum cans, we're recycling 9% statewide. That's, to me, I'm like, okay, we can do better than that. And then looking at steel cans, let's see, about 11% plastic bottles, 6% other plastics, 2%. So there is definitely room for growth in our curbside materials. Our heavy materials, we're doing fantastic curbside materials, working with our residential and commercial sector. I know it's difficult, and as we talked about, education, getting the word out. And so with that, something I like for you guys to be aware of, if you're not, we've talked about this through the years, we do have a little bit of recycling education offered to the county recycling coordinators and Florida residents at the floridarecycles.org website, which houses our Rethink, Reset, Recycle campaign and the Take Charge Florida Be Battery Smart lithium-ion battery campaign. So Florida DEP did adopt the Take Charge campaign with permission from South Carolina, thank you South Carolina, to raise awareness of both the safety concerns and the recycling opportunities for lithium-ion batteries. This website will take you to the Take Charge Florida campaign, so it has the QR code or the website there. You can utilize that. It does have information as a county. If you want to download, we can put your county logo on there. Chris Berry Works with me. I'd be more than happy to work with you guys if someone would like to take this information and utilize it. And there's 4 or 5 different options on there you can utilize and share with your residents. So please reach out to us if there's any way we can help you utilize this information or add your county logo, city logo. Happy to work with you. Give you a second there, make sure everybody's got it. If you need it, and if you want to copy these slides, I think they may be posted on the RT website, but reach out to me as well. If you like a copy of the slides, I'm happy to email it to you so you don't have to take pictures and try to write down all the information. So moving into grants, following up on Alyssa, EPA has been fantastic over the past few years. They have provided some grant funding. The Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grants, SWIFR, as Alyssa said, we're going to call it SWIFR, for states and territories. This is non-competitive grants to support long-term recycling planning and data collection for the states. So here at DEP, we were fortunate enough to collaborate with researchers at the University of Florida, Florida Polytechnic University, and Florida Atlantic University. And they have helped us work on a capacity study for the state. The final report was received in May 2025, and again, the website's here where you can find the capacity study. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the results in just a moment. If you have not had a chance to look at the capacity study, I highly encourage every one of you guys to take a look at it. If you want to know how much room do we have left in the state in our landfills, it gives you that answer, and it's a little scary. We're also working on a away from home waste and recycling study. So the draft has been sent to DEP. We are still reviewing that, but I will give you a little highlights on that information as well. And then finally, we're updating WasteCalc. So WasteCalc's an online tool that was developed in the early 2000s through Innovative Grants. So early on, we were fortunate enough that KCI, and I can't remember which county worked on it early on, but they partnered to work on waste calc, and then through the years, we've been able to get funding to update it, and it calculates the waste composition for Florida County. So most of our counties who submit the data utilize this tool. It's a fantastic tool to utilize. I encourage you to, again, it is specific for the counties, but take a look at it. You'll be surprised at the type of information it provides for the counties. So looking into the capacity study a little bit, this is a slide of the Class 1 landfill capacity, and this is broken out by district as of January 1st, 2025. So it shows you the remaining permitted capacity. So that's about 470 million tons of remaining permitted capacity. And it takes a look at each district, what year we run out of room, the permitted capacity projection. And then we also have the remaining constructed capacity. So that hasn't been built out yet. That's what has been built out. The permitted is what has not been built out. 164 million tons, and again, the capacity projection. So 2044 is going to be here pretty quickly. South, you have 2068, but once landfills start filling up around the state, we're gonna have to move some of this waste to some of these larger tri-county landfills. So I anticipate those filling up a lot quicker. Here's another slide, a way to look at it. Based on the capacity study, if the amount of waste disposed in Class 1 landfills increases by 5%, then the permitted capacity of landfill space in Florida will be full by 2037. That's 11 years from now. That's if we increase by 5%. If we get a couple storms, hurricanes come through, that very likely will happen. If it increases by 3%, then the permitted capacity of landfill space in Florida will be full by 2039, so it buys us a little time. If it increases by 1%, then the permitted capacity of the landfill space is full by 2043. So again, it's a little bit alarming to take a look at this study and what this means for the state. But if you haven't had a chance to read it, please go on the website, take a look at it. Moving on to the other study that we're working with the researchers on, away from home study and recycling study. So again, this is in draft, it's not on the website yet. As soon as we complete our review, we will get it on the website to share. But I've hypothesized for many years that tourism is generating a lot of waste in the state of Florida, and we're losing a lot of our cans, our bottles, steel cans, a lot of our curbside material to tourism, because they come down here and they're not as concerned about the environment. They're here, they want to get in, have a good time, enjoy the natural resources, but they really don't pay attention to what they're doing with their waste. So a lot of waste is generated by the tourism industry. We have about 7 or 8 times the number of tourists coming into the state of Florida as we have residents. So we're managing that population coming in and out of here. Florida received 143.3 million out-of-state visitors in 2025. That's equivalent to 2 million additional full-time residents. So with our out-of-state visitors, we're dealing with, again, an additional 2 million full-time residents.
Wow.
So based on the visitor demographic statistics and behavior changes, it's estimated that out-of-state visitors generated approximately 1.4 million tons of waste in the curbside residential commercial stream. So if we were to account for the waste generated by out-of-state tourists in 2024, the data per capita generation rate in Florida decreases from 4.5 to 4.1 pounds per person. So again, that really sets the stage for us, taking a look at earlier, talking about how many tons per capita per year we're generating. If we back out tourism waste, it drops from 4.5 pounds to 4.1 pounds. That's pretty significant. And that, if you're looking for areas, I know we talk about areas where to improve recycling. Should we go after this material, that material? Should we look at commercial, residential? I propose we look at our tourism sector. There's a lot of material being lost in the tourism sector, a lot of opportunity in the tourism sector. So if that takes us down to 4.1, that moves us much closer to the national average of 3.8. So that helped us in the state of Florida. We understood that we're generating a lot of waste, but we couldn't understand why we were generating so much more waste than the national average. Tourism is driving that waste up. And that is it for me, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa and Karen. I'm Ralph DeMay. I'm an attorney with the Adams and Reese Law Firm in Tallahassee. I've been practicing in this field, solid waste field, for 42 years. And I've had the privilege of working for a number of the major waste haulers, some medium-sized, some small ones, and I work for about 4 counties and about 6 municipalities. So I have kind of a broad perspective on things. I don't want to repeat what they just said. I know we don't have a ton of time, so I believe they have you all have access to the slides. What I'd really rather do, if it's okay, I'm going to advance this thing. Sorry, technology challenge. Yeah, it's pushing it. There we go. Again, you've seen a lot of this already. Let me give you some statistics to pick up on some of Karen's, if you weren't already interested. First of all, Florida now has a population of 23.6 million. We are now the 3rd largest state in the country. We bypassed Texas a while ago. We estimate that almost 1,000 people move to Florida every day, okay? That adds up to a net gain of almost 400,000 new residents, permanent residents, every year. To give you some context, Orlando has a population of 334, Tampa 414, Daytona Beach 91. So every year, a city on the scale of some of those cities are created in Florida. So the way I look at it, representing people in the field, is opportunity, okay? And by the way, I spent 10 years in Volusia County. I went to Stetson and I worked at Embry-Riddle University, and I'm big into speed, so I come for Bike Week and Speed Week. If you want to see a lot of solid waste generated, thrown on the streets, there's great opportunity there. Recyclables, etc. Because, I don't know how many, back in the glory days, 1 million bikers would show up here during Bike Week. Think about that. And there's a lot of beer cans being generated there. But we need more landfill capacity. We need more recycling. I don't think there's any question about that. But unfortunately, we're facing a situation, I'll call it a political situation. My office, I can see the Capitol from. And I'll go ahead and make a political comment, but it's not intended to be addressed to any particular party. But my observation over the years, and I teach environmental law at FSU and at Stetson, I don't think we're getting the level of support that we need from the legislature and from, frankly, the governor's office. I can't explain why. That's just my observation. I know she won't comment on that, but so much more can be done, okay? Now, we took a major hit in the recycling world when China decided they weren't going to take our ships anymore. We have a 75% recurring goal. We hover around 50, as you've said, as you've heard. But there's a lot of places like aluminum cans, I guess you mentioned that, where I think we could do a lot better. I mean, I'm an avid recycler. I'm a lifelong Floridian, okay, born and raised, never left the state. And it's troubling to me to see what's happening with the buildup. The number of people coming in, and the state and the feds do a great job, but we need to do a lot more, okay? I mean, that's kind of the cheerleading part of this, okay? Well, there's another very, very scary development on the horizon, which I'm sure all of you have been paying attention to, and certainly got the attention of all my local governments, and that's the ad valorem tax vote that's coming up. Trust me when I tell you, if you vote for it, you're going to have a reduction in services. A lot of these programs are going to go away. there just literally won't be enough money to have police show up when there's a crime, to have fire department show up when the house is on fire, utilities, everything. And I haven't had a conversation with one of my 12 local governments where that doesn't come up and I don't hear the semi-panic in their voices, okay? And right now, nobody has really come up with an alternative. They keep talking about tourist taxes and raising things like that. You know, that'll help, but it's not gonna get us there. There are local governments in this state that a third to, or 40 or 50% of their revenue to provide those essential services comes from the property taxes. So, look, I don't like paying property taxes any more than any of you do, right? And they're going up and up and up, but what's the alternative and what do you get if you don't do it? And I'm hoping that these kinds of wonderful programs, recycling, et cetera, don't take a hit. I don't know that they will, but as you heard Karen say, this is a big part, you know, local governments and counties are a big part of the partnership. And if they're suddenly facing probably the biggest fiscal crisis in history, as far as I can tell, well, something's gotta give somewhere, okay? So I guess that's my political speech, so think about that before you vote and tell other people, because again, right now it's polling that it's gonna pass. I mean, can we save money on the front end? Sure. What are the consequences in the long end? All right, so enough of that. Let me, I was supposed to give a legal update, not a political one, but they're kind of intertwined where I come from. So, got it. Okay, you've already heard all this. I'll refer you to the slides. This is the legal framework, the applicable statutes. I won't bore you with going through that. DEP is sort of ground zero for dealing with solid waste management and recycling in particular. Now they wanted me to talk a little bit about litigation. Fortunately, there's not a lot of litigation in this area because litigation is, as I'm sure you all know, expensive, time-consuming, uncertain results. So, again, I'm not going to read all these to you, but if you're interested, please take a look at these holdings because they are significant in the context of the world of solid waste. And this is an example. I just threw a couple of slides in. We're getting a lot of vetoes, and we're not. This is what I meant by we're not getting a lot of support from the legislature. They do a lot of good things, but for example, I don't know how Karen feels about it, but this comprehensive waste reduction and recycling plan, which would have required the department to develop a plan by July 1, convene a technical assistance group, create a 3-year plan for education, local assistance, and market development. That was a pretty cool idea, did you like that? Governor vetoed it. It passed the legislature, okay? Governor vetoed it. I don't really know why. I don't know what the concern was.